In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to apply a full set using pre-made fans. So I'm going to show you all my tips and tricks, how I do it. And in this video, I'm using Eslashes 10D pre-made fans to get this look. And first thing we're going to do is pull out the links that we're using for this cat eye set. So I had those at the start, and I'm going to use the back of my box to organize those, use that as my lash tile. So I've got all my links out there. I'm going to give my glue a good shake, and then I'm going to apply on the collagen under eye pads, and I'm going to apply the tape just to secure down any bottom lashes. Now, of course, she's washed her lashes. I'm going to give them a quick prime, making sure I'm really thorough, and then I'm going to put on the lash map. So you can see we have lengths 9 through 14 for this. I'm going to put my glue drop. Now when I'm picking up a pre-made, I actually pick it up from the bottom first, gently, then pick it up from the top. They're very easy to pick up, but you just want to make sure you are being careful while you're picking up those fans, because they are delicate, just like any volume fan. Now, just showing you guys here some really tangled lashes and what you can do to kind of isolate those. So use both tweezers, file through, and get that lash that you're wanting to apply the extension on isolated. Now I'm dipping my lash extension about 1.5 to 2 millimeters into the glue, slowly removing. I want to make sure it's pretty well coated on that base, and then I'm going to apply it to the natural lash just like I would a classic lash. You're wanting to make sure you get that really good bond on the base. You want to make sure the base is not lifting. Watch, the angle of your hand as it's going on to make sure the base of that lash is attaching perfectly to the base of the natural lash. Now we've got some more tangled lashes here. Those are always harder to start out with. Once you have a few pre-made fans on, it's easier to isolate. The first few are always the hardest. So we want to make sure we're going really close to the root while we're isolating here, so that those sneaky little baby lashes, especially during a spring shed, are not getting in here and getting stuck to another lash. So I've got another pre-made here. I've dipped in the glue and just making sure that I'm landing perfectly on. I want to apply that about 0.5 to 1 millimeter away from the lash line. I'm using the Rapid Lash Adhesive, so that's 1.5 to 2 second dry time. 1 to 2 second dry time. So that gives me enough time to replace the extension if I need to, which is really great for beginners when you're starting out. You just want to make sure that that is drying before you're actually letting go of the fan. So I've got another one here. I'm going to apply that, and you want to hold it in place and make sure that that is dried. Position it the way you want it to go. Now, if you're a really fast lash tech lash artist, you may want something like the Expert Glue, which is a 0.5 second dry time, but there is no room for correction there. You have to be really fast and place it exactly where you want it when you're applying it. So for this set, which is actually a very beginner friendly set for someone who's done classic lashes that wants to try out doing pre-made fans, I'd recommend a 1 to 2 second dry time, just so you have enough time to make sure that you're angling those fans the way that you want them to go. Now I'm just filling in with a few more fans here, just working through kind of the middle section back and forth on each of the eyes. Now her lashes are pretty straight, so I am going to grab some tape. I've got my Eslashes pink micropore tape here. I'm just going to place that on the lid, gently pull up. I know it looks like a bit of a pull. I always make sure the client's super comfortable and secure that down. And I always check with the lash mirror to make sure that eye is fully closed and the client is super comfy. Now you can see how that's just like lifted up those natural lashes, and it's just easier for me to apply those ones that were kind of harder to get at before. So same thing, make sure you're angling that base so that it's going to position perfectly to attach to the natural lash. And correct it. You can, position it in the way that you need it to go. Sometimes you want, especially with the cat eye, a little bit more of an outer flick on that outer corner, because you want to really create that elongated eye, that feline flick, if you will, to just create that gorgeous cat eye look that everybody loves. So I'm just applying a few more kind of in the center of the eye here. And she has some really great natural lashes, so she can support, up to 14 millimeters. And I'm going to use some more tape. I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. Look at how much that just lifts up those natural lashes so that I can isolate them and get a pre-made fan on there without them actually sticking down to the iPad. So that just helps me so much, taping for people with straight lashes, to just lift up and be able to apply the pre-made fan on there. Now, see that one little, sometimes this happens, a lash will just kind of try to sneak in when you're isolating. You want to go as close to the root as possible. You can always go back in and correct, just make sure you're not getting any of those stickies, and just filling in a few more lashes and gently removing that lash tape. Now you can see, look, no hairs. It doesn't rip out the hairs at all. It took off a little bit of her brow gel, but no hair. So you don't want to be like waxing the client's brows. You want to make sure you have a good tape. Now I am taping for the outer corners. This is really, the best thing about the cat eye is the outer corner. So I'm just taping in the center of lid and pulling it towards the nose so that it's easier for me to get at those outer corners. It just really spreads those lashes apart, makes it a lot easier for me to apply these fans. Now you can see the way that I'm angling that fan almost in an outwards direction, because I want to really accentuate that outer corner. I want it really flicking outwards. So you want to just keep that in mind when you're following, the cat eye lash map. Any lash map, you want to keep in mind which way you're wanting those lashes to go, depending on the look you want to create. And again, gently removing that tape now that I've done the outer corners. And you can always move your client's head around very gently, make sure they're comfortable, but you can move it around so that it's easier for you to get at those lashes, especially when you're working with fans. It just really helps to move the head around a little bit so that it's easier for you to get at certain corners. So now I'm taping for inner corners. I know, I love tape. I'm taping everywhere. Whatever I can do with tape, I love to do it. So I've just placed the tape right in the center of the lid, and I've pulled that outwards, and I'm securing kind of in the direction towards her ear. And again, it just spreads those lashes out, and it makes it so that I can really get at those inner corners. Just like with any set with your pre-mades, like we are using 10Ds here. They're 0.03, so they're nice and light, but some of the inner corner lashes can be really tiny, and I want to make sure I'm not, putting too much weight on those. So for example, like sometimes I'll have to pull out some 8mm lashes, or just even some smaller fans, like some, 3D, 4D fans for those inner corners, because I don't want to overload the lashes. So just because we're following a certain lash map doesn't mean some lashes don't need something a little bit different, just in order to make sure that we're keeping them super healthy and super safe when we're applying these pre-mades. Now, they are heat bonded, so we're not adding any extra weight with them being glue bonded, but still you want to make sure you're using the right length and also the right, 10D, 3D, whatever is needed for that lash to make sure it's nice and safe and healthy. So now I'm just checking for any stickies. I want to make sure that none of those pre-mades are stuck. So I'm using the back of my tweezer here to make sure there's nothing stuck to the iPad. I also like to file through all of the lashes and just make sure that none of them are stuck together. If I do have any stickies, you guys can check out. I do have another video on how to remove stickies, but so far so good. I check all along, make sure nothing's stuck. I like to make sure that there's no bottom lashes that got stuck in there either. And now I'm going to file through, just checking again to make sure in between all these fans, make sure nothing got stuck to each other. Now, if you rush through a set, often you can find some stickies at the end. You want to make sure your glue is dried after you apply that fan to make sure it's not, getting stuck next to its neighbor. So just filing through and checking for all those stickies. This is one of the most important things you can do when you're lashing. When you're applying pre-mades, you can apply them on top of the natural lash, or you can apply them underneath the natural lash. When it's underneath the natural lash, you want to make sure that's the top layer, because when it's underneath the natural lash where you're applying it, where you're looping it kind of through, there's more chance of it getting stuck to the iPad. So just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to remove all of the tape, and then I'm going to come in with my fan. My fan actually died, so I had to use this hand pump one. It's such a wrist workout and it makes my wrist so tired, but I dried those fully and properly, and now I'm just going to comb through and fluff up those lashes with a mascara wand. Again, making sure there's no pulls, no tugs, making sure the client's comfortable, and just styling them into place where I want them to go. So I'm fluffing up those lashes really nice. And next thing I'm going to do is grab my super bonder. This is one step I never skip because it increases my retention, reduces fumes, and makes it so that clients can get their lashes wet right away. So I'm going to get a little micro swab brush here. Normally I'm not doing this over the client's head. I just wanted you guys to be able to see. I'm going to get a little bit of that super bonder, not too much. I don't want it getting in the client's eye. I just want enough so that I can apply it, and then I dab those together, and I start applying it to the bonding point of where the lash extension is attached to the natural lash, and I just dab all along there, so basically along the bases. I don't want to get it on the skin either, so you have to be very exact with this. You want the nice tiny little micro swab brushes to apply this. So I'm just going to make sure I'm doing a really thorough job just applying this super bonder all along. And when I use a super bonder, personally, I don't use a nano mister. I don't feel like I need to. Some people use the nano mister and super bonder. So whatever you prefer on that, but for me, I just use the super bonder, and that is what helps that lash glue cure right away and reduces the fumes, increases retention, all that stuff. So then I have to dry them really well again, and I'm removing the eye pads. We're finally there. This is the best part of the appointment. Under her eyes, it's all nice and soft and plumped from the collagen eye pads. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're removing eye pads, pull downwards towards the client's toes, not up towards yourself, because that can be really super uncomfortable. So always make sure you're doing that. Now I'm just going to fluff the lashes sort of, in the direction that I want them to go to make sure they're looking perfect. Look at those fluffy outer corners. And this is all done just using 10D.03 pre-made lashes. And there you have the final result, just like that. No fussing with handmade fans, just straight up 10D pre-mades, and she had really great retention with these, and you can see there's that cat eye, and it saves you a lot of time by using pre-mades. So if you guys liked this video, if you have any questions about pre-mades at all, please just let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know if there's any other kind of sets or styles that you would like to see using pre-made fans in those comments below. And of course, if you liked this video, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button to see more videos like this one.